Pushing love away. Now we all know, girls, what it is like to want something so bad and then find ourselves sabotaging and pushing it away and wondering what the hell we are actually doing. This is the thing that I wanted, but for some reason I push it away from me. I am pushing it away and I don't understand why I am pushing the love that I want away or the great guy that I want away. I will pray about it, cry about it, and all of a sudden this amazing guy who's great on paper, who's everything I ever wanted, somehow I don't feel attracted to them, or I feel scared, and then I start to push him away. And also, perhaps you could even be the kind of girl who is walking down the street and the man that she likes is checking around and she's feeling good. And instead of going toward him, instead of going towards the things that she desires or signaling him and letting him know, I want to talk to you. Yes, yes. You are the kind of girl who's like, I didn't see you. How do I escape? Where is the fire escape? Like this guy that you've always wanted to meet is right here, right in front of you. And instead of you being open and receptive and available to him, you are finding reasons to not speak to him. If that's you, put your hand up. Okay, put your hand up in the comment section. Say to me, Chengi, that is a me, girl. And if this video sounds like something you really want to watch, press that like button, girl. Let's get that like, let's get those likes going, and that share button. And of course, if you are new, do not forget to subscribe. For those of you who don't know who I am Chengi. And you, my precious one, are my world. I am your dating and relationship expert, here to teach you ladies how to present as high value, high status, and high worth, so that high value men find you completely irresistible. Can I get an amen? In the comments. Okay, so make sure that you follow all those protocols so that we can continue to grow, and you can encourage me to keep creating these videos because I absolutely love doing that. So Chengi, what the hell is going on inside of me if I find myself pushing away the thing that I really, really want? Now, this is something to do with your, definitely to do with your psychology and what I call the love story. Every single one of us has a love story. The love story really is my simplified way of putting psychological terms together. This is your emotional blueprint. This is your neurological pathway. And we can only recreate what we know or what we have seen. It's very difficult for us to, whether we have seen it emotionally, mentally on television, but we have to be familiar with it. We have to know it to recreate it. And so whatever pattern was set before us growing up is the pattern that we can very easily and are programmed to recreate, and furthermore that our subconscious mind is programmed to look for, because the mind is interested in keeping you safe. You know, we have the mind, and its job is to keep us safe, to keep us away from pain, and to lead us towards pleasure. This is how the mind is designed to help us survive. And sometimes, and the mind is not a moral creature. It's not moral. It doesn't decide between right or wrong and what's going to be good for you or not. It just understands that whatever is familiar is safe. Why? Because you've already survived the familiar. So whether the familiar is toxic or whether the familiar is horrible or not, the mind is not going to make that judgment for you. It is only going to do what it has always done, keep you safe, and safe is what's familiar. And even if what's familiar is toxic, then that's what the mind is going to do until, of course, you decide to do the work on yourself. And if you're one of those people who's like, I'm ready to do the work, Chengi, then of course you're invited to my Emotional Mastery Masterclass. You can just book the link in the description below. And don't forget to fill in the survey. Really appreciate your feedback while you are at it, or just book to speak to me one-to-one. I am here for you to go and dig deep and delve in. But for those of us who are watching this video, I really want to give you this value. So basically, if the mind sees something that is unfamiliar, and we don't understand this, right? We desire it because consciously, you know, when we see the images of other people, or we see this good-looking guy who has everything we want, and that's kind of what we've been told, and it's a conscious thought, but not deeply seated within our subconscious mind, and we haven't actually really settled it into our conscious mind, we're going to find that the mind is going to begin, the subconscious mind is going to say, no, 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 no. So when we are moving in the direction of our desires, or our desires are moving towards us, the mind says, this is unfamiliar. We don't know it. We don't know this. We don't know how to be treated nicely. We don't know. We're suspicious. So what we're going to do is we're going to begin, the subconscious mind is going to throw reasons at you. I don't trust him. I feel like I'm being love bombed. It's too much. And this happens a lot with a lot of my clients when eventually they've been dating a lot of jerks. Now they meet this amazing guy. And the first thing that comes up for them is this fear. And it's really, really powerful. And if I wasn't in their lives, they would have canceled those dates. They would have stopped talking to those guys. They would have literally sabotaged the whole thing. But thank goodness I'm there to say, okay, it's fine. This is what a man who's actually interested does. He's consistent and he shows up for you and he plans dates and he buys you flowers and he wants to impress you. That's what it's like. Because a lot of them have been repeating the pattern of toxicity. So now that they're working with me and now they're meeting men that actually, they're kind of thinking, what's going on? It's crazy. I think he's weird. I think he's a psychopath. And all of a sudden, their brain and their mind begins to give them reasons to run away. It's because you have never experienced it before. You are not familiar with being loved. And when we are in unfamiliar territory, then our mind begins to work at either making it very familiar. So we will either enter into a relationship with this great guy, this love, and begin the work of pushing him away, begin to give him multiple reasons for him to leave, because we don't know how to be present. We don't know how to be present and how to be loved and how to receive love. And I know it sounds really weird because we always think, well, if it's love, it should be easy to receive. Love is easy to receive in the heart of a woman who knows how to love herself and who has a reference point for being loved at all. So if you have no self-love, if you haven't learned the capacity of being kind to yourself, thoughtful to yourself, and surrounding yourself with people who love you the way that you love yourself, then you are not going to have a blueprint or an identification system for what love really is. Many of us don't really know what love looks like. We don't know what being treated kindly looks like. We've never seen it because we have been recreating patterns of toxic abuse in our relationships, whether it's at work. We're always the girl with the terrible boss, and amongst her friendships, she's got all these toxic friends that are always trying to pull her down, make her last, compete with her. We come from toxic families. So when you look at your landscape, your relationship landscape, in each of those formats, you're going to have the same thing repeating itself because you've actually created, without you being aware of it, an invited toxicity in your life and toxic relationships. So now this strange feeling of somebody who is there for you, who cares, who actually calls you, who gives you space. I mean, it's crazy to you because you're used to chasing after guys, you're used to being anxious in a relationship, you're used to longing, you're used to proving yourself worthy. This is a new round for you. And so it is part of the coping mechanism that you have to survive. And, like most things that are really like autoimmune diseases that, actually use your immune system to destroy you, it's very similar to some of the psychology. So when you are pushing away, and sometimes you don't even realize that you are doing it until you've done it, until you've lost a great guy, you're thinking, oh, my goodness. And I get a lot of these calls, a lot from you ladies who have come and thought, oh my gosh, he was great, he did this and he was this and he was this, and oh my gosh, he actually didn't deserve the way I behaved. I yelled at him and I screamed and I shouted, and then afterwards I was thinking, what was that about? It was actually your subconscious mind trying to protect you, strangely. Now obviously I would love to be able to sit with you and talk about this for the next 2-3 hours and really delve into it. But in situations like this, it's really important for you to reach out and get some help. Chances are that you need therapy, you need counseling, you need a coach, you need somebody who is expert or experienced in really helping you deal with these triggers or this sort of behavior, so that you can have somebody help you paint a picture of what healthy, wholesome men, how they behave, because it's very different if you've been dating a lot of jerks, and how it feels like when you actually meet somebody who is an absolute gentleman, right? So All of these things are really very important for you to begin to migrate. Otherwise, you'll continue to create toxicity. One of the things that you can do that is practical is pause and breathe, right? A lot of us, we feel the fear, but what you can start to do is interrogate the fear. And this is a question that I tell my clients to do all the time. And you will get used to asking yourself this question. I really love asking myself this question because it really gives me a moment to become even more self-aware. And the question is, what story am I telling myself right now? What is the narrative going on in my head right now? And often it is, he is attentive and he is caring and he is showing me love. He is dangerous, right? And when you listen to that story, it kind of is a bit weird. He's actually showing up. He's consistent. He's communicating. He's thoughtful. He's not pushing you hard. He's sensitive to how you feel. He's showing you love. But that is dangerous. I'm suspicious, right? And when you listen to that story and really are able to, whether you journal it or whether you just sit with yourself, you're going to understand that this is the programming and the belief. And once you kind of catch the story and you realize how weird sounding it is, that is the beginning of starting to heal, because then we can begin to further interrogate, why is loving, caring behavior dangerous? Why do I feel that? And when you interrogate that feeling, you realize it's because it's what I know. Okay, so how can I proceed forward with safety? How can I take these steps forward whilst feeling safe? So what are the dangers here? What are the dangers that I perceive? Because it's all perception at the end of the day. Well, he could leave. He could love me and lift me up to this point where I totally am in love and then leave. Okay, if he were to do that, how would that destroy you? Would that destroy you? Why would that destroy you? The questions can keep going. But one other thing is I always say to myself is, you've survived this far. You've been disappointed, you've been hurt, you've been rejected, everything has happened to you with guys who showed you from the beginning that was what they were gonna do. Now you're in a situation where that's not the case. You survived the other guys. Why wouldn't you survive this one? I'd love for us to live in a world where falling in love was a risk-free exercise, right? If I'm going to fall in love, it's going to be totally 100% risk-free. It's just going to pay off, right? Every single time we allow another human being into our space and into our life, we are opening ourselves to majesty, to wonder, to bliss, to new horizons, to new experiences. But we're also exposing ourselves to hurt and disappointment and betrayal. We cannot separate the experience because we live in the human existence. But what we can do is fortify ourselves so much, strengthen ourselves within ourselves, and resource ourselves at least halfway to a point where our cup is always half full. And so when somebody comes into our lives and takes a piece, we still have ourselves. We're still intact. It hurts, it's disappointing, but we still have ourselves. And I'm so grateful I did the work and I am doing the work, because trust me, some of the stuff that I've had to endure and how little impact they've had on me as a person and how I've been able to really bounce back is because I've always kept my cup half full. I've always made sure that I master my emotions and master my mind. Emotional mastery, in the class that I'm going to be teaching you on the 17th of April, is not about being an unfeeling woman. It's not about not having emotions, and it's not about beating yourself with a stick. It's not about having all the psychological terms. It's really about mastery. Mastery is the ability to be able to handle whatever comes your way and have tools and understanding and insight into how to navigate it. To be able to say, actually, what's going on here is a perception built upon a belief that was built upon a trauma or a childhood experience or a belief that I was taught. And I have the power to reframe. I have the power to rewire my nervous system. I have the power to set a new path for myself and become the woman that is never destroyed by the world. The truth is, so many of us are not just showing up in this way just in relationships, but it happens in every area of our lives. We're not living our best best lives, we're not in our best careers, living the truest existence that we are to live. And I just love the Soulmate Attraction System course, and it's a shameless plug, but it's so important because I create these courses to help you and to serve you, because I don't want anyone to suffer anything that they don't have to. And in the Soulmate Attraction System course, I call it the self-love course, because for the first time in your life, you get to ask questions to yourself. You get asked questions in that course. The chances are no one in your life has ever sat down to ask you, but you get to do it for yourself. You get to answer these questions for yourself, and you get to really experience life. And of course, if you're doing it with the help of a coach, it can be the most amazing experience that you can ever go through. There's so many masterclasses and courses that you can download on my website. I'd invite you to go and check them out at chengisworld.co.uk/shop. I invite you to go and take as much learning and experience as you can, so that you can truly show up as a whole person, not only whole and being whole to be whole, because wholeness is a journey we take, a journey that really never really ends, because we are constantly evolving and having to be whole in the new evolution of who we are. But as we learn and grow, we strengthen ourselves, but not only ourselves, but we begin to affect and influence the world around us, and we are able to help other people around us be more whole. And of course, when we meet the man that we have all been waiting to meet, the man that we crave and deserve, we will also be able to understand his processes. We'll be able to be more patient, more gracious, because to be fair, it's just because you have done the work watching these videos doesn't mean that the person you're gonna meet necessarily has been doing all that much work on themselves. But your ability to be grounded emotionally and to have that emotional mastery will allow you to be a lot more gracious with the other person, because you know what it takes to be whole. You know what it takes to come to balance. So I hope that answers your question. You are pushing love away because it simply is a safety mechanism working in your brain. But the good news is you're able to change it, and you are able to join me on the Emotional Mastery Masterclass. I will see you on that class. I look forward to seeing you on my next video. And of course, don't forget to fill the survey out for me. I'll be very, very grateful. In the meantime, my angel, take care. Love you. Love you lots.